After 3 months, is it or so, since the old Turin troll, as my friend Sean likes to call him, has left and departed our shores, we now have a manager, Angelo Postecoglou. It could be interesting. Is this another cog in the wheel for the wheels to fall off, or are we into a new fifth gear motion? Talking points. Let's go. Let's do it. Hello, I am Sam Spurs for Life, and this is PRTv, Paxton Road TV, as you already know it. And welcome to the show, Talking Points number 96, almost at that century. I'm just looking over to the other side so I can show you what we're talking about tonight. Here we go. Have Spurs got the right cog in the wheel? I do find myself funny at times. But joining me tonight in the house to discuss, and he's another fan of the old Ange, it is the one and only Sean Hurl, Paxton Road Zone. Well, Mr. Hurl, we did a show last week Friday, didn't we? With all the rumours that was happening, we was like thinking, is this going to be the man? And I was like a bit, reserved in what I wanted to kind of say, but I didn't really know much about Ange anyway. Since his appointment, I've done my research, and I must say, it's positive. It's positive. But we all know we've seen a lot of positivity at the start of cycles for Spurs, and things can go perilously wrong. But this time it feels, even though Daniel Levy's still in the house, it feels like this is at least, in my opinion, connecting some dots up. At least we're getting somebody who's got a bit of a vision, a bit of a philosophy, a bit of a way of playing, who wants to play football the right way, which for the last 3 years we haven't seen. So, Sean, are you happy with this appointment?
Yeah, it's all, any appointment's a gamble, but I'm more than happy with the fact that this guy's history suggests that he's a much more of a natural fit with Tottenham Hotspur. He's going to have support in the boardroom with Scott Munn, who he knows long term, and he's not afraid to shop in the bargain basement and find little nuggets that he polishes into sovereign. So yeah, I'm hopeful. A lot of people have been going along the lines of he's a daddy figure. He looks like he gives a good hug. So who knows? Other people saying that are we going to be doing a few Zorba the Greeks dances in the South Stand next season? Who knows? But yeah, I'm more than happy. I think the guy is a natural fit, and his little cameo on Spurs play today made me feel quietly confident.
Yeah, it's certainly, in comparison to the video, and I put this on the WhatsApp group chat, the video that the bearded one sent out just was complete contrast. When the bearded one was asked the questions, he looked like nervous. His eyes, as I kept saying, darting side to side. Looked like he was having to say a story. Didn't feel like it was him that was coming from, we're going to make you proud. And when you start seeing all of that eyes to eye side, I was like, nah, this guy, he don't mean what he says. He doesn't say what he means. And that's the difference between this guy. I saw the Celtic interview when Postecoglou first got the Celtic, and they were bloody... They couldn't believe their luck that they got him. The guy who got him was like, yeah, I'd been following him for years, and this guy, blah, 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 is incredible in what he does. Obviously, anybody that's taken somebody on is going to say that about them person that they've employed. They're not going to say, they're shit. But he then went on to prove it. He proved it in his first season, 2 pieces of silverware, domestic double. And then he's gone on and done a domestic treble in Scotland, having had previous experience and success before. Now, this is where the sort of the doubts start to kick in with me. Is it a case of the Spurs setup? Well, we all know the Spurs setup. Is it designed to help him. Because I think if we get this right and we support this manager and we support him by getting rid of players that are just not going to buy into this shit that we've seen, we could have the building blocks similar to what we had when Poch came in. And I think he's even probably a little bit further ahead the barometer from when Poch joined at the time when Poch joined in terms of his experience. I don't know what you think, but it seems a good fit. What's your thoughts about the fit, but what could happen, as you know?
Well, I mean, I think, the fact that he's committed to playing football in a traditional style, that we're used to, an attacking style. He's got 27 years of experience, including at a national level, where he won an Asian Cup with the Australian national team. He's actually been coaching since the age of 12. If you've gone down the road of researching his book, he actually coached a school team, and his fellow pupils used to say, "We just listen to you because you seem to know what you're doing." So this, to me, suggests, and all the time, his focus was trying to impress his dad, because that was the link between him and his dad. And I think those are really good values to have. That he knows about when how difficult life has been. He left Greece when he was like 5 years old or something like that. His father only had one day off when he first got there, as they struggled to make a life in Australia. So I'm really hopeful that we can, he'll bring all that experience. I mean, I think the most telling interview I saw for him was when he was in at Celtic. He said that he turned on the press and sort of said, when I came here, I was a joke. And I think what I like about him is that he thrives in adversity. He came into a Celtic team which had been absolutely destroyed the season before. They'd finished something like 25, 27 points behind Rangers and were in a mess. And he turned that around to win the league the following his first season. And I think, he was canny. He didn't, any players that he didn't think bought in, he got rid of. He even got rid of players who were like fan favourites when he felt that they weren't doing it for him, And he turned a profit in some cases. Juranovic, the fullback they bought for 2 million, they sold for 12 million. So he's got all the attributes, I think, to be a success, given the mess that is still at the head of the organisation, and that's that's the only thing that I think could undermine him, will be the interference from above.
So I agree with that, and this is why it's very a cautious approach. The right things are being said. I've done enough background on this guy to know it's the right fit. He's got a vision. He's got a philosophy. He knows how he's playing. He doesn't stray from it. So this is where us as fans, and it's the whole fan base, it's not just me and you, it's the whole fan base, because some people don't want him in the club, but I've always maintained any manager that joins our football club should be supported regardless. And that was the same for the bearded one. I didn't want Nuno Espirito de Santos anywhere near our club. It goes for certain players as well, but we've got to support him, because ultimately us fans dictate whether or not he stays in the job long term or short term, because we get the noises coming out sometimes from results, and this will be the same for him. I firmly believe it doesn't matter. He's still going to have to perform. He's not going to be right. You can just do anything next season. You're still going to have to, as Tottenham Hotspur, have a strong season. Doesn't mean to say we're going to have to get top four. It doesn't mean to say we're going to have to win trophies, but we're going to have to be competitive. To be competitive, to play his system at that level, at that pace, because that's what he dictates. He said it in a couple of them, the little sound bites I've seen. Yeah, we're going to play at this pace. And if the opposition play at this pace, we're just going to have to play a little bit harder to beat them. My concern is that's okay for some players. After a while, are they going to dig in? We ain't going to get rid of everybody this summer. There are going to be players left over as legacy from that. Hopefully, he will get them out over a period of time, but it is going to be a period of time. I think he can get building blocks in quickly, and as players buy in quickly, they can improve. But we do need players, and we do need patience. Jose said it, the Turin troll said it, but it's true. We do need patience. This is not going to happen as much as I would love it to happen and be successful next season. We might get lucky, but it's a building process. Give him the right tools to make the build correct. And I think even Harry Kane, this is what I'm saying. What do you think about this Harry Kane thing? Because there's people saying, oh, he's definitely not going now and he's going to be staying. I'm not sure, but what's your thoughts on that? And how would he, if he was to stay, do you think he would revel in this attacking style that Ange has got?
100%. Kane will score goals under Postecoglou. The problem is he going to get? Is Postecoglou going to get that opportunity to, do that? I mean, the links to Real Madrid are quite alarming, but the trouble is, the press are just are messing with us. You know what I mean? There was that, supposedly a meeting on Monday or whatever it was, and it turns out, Ali Gold did a bit of digging, and there was no meeting. It never happened. You know what I mean? And the thing is, they're playing with us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what you've got to do is you've got to kind of step back a bit and say, look, the guy's on his holiday. He's come back today to do his media stuff, and he'll report for duty on the 1st of July. I don't know when the players come back. Some of them will be back then, and some will probably be back a week later if they're doing international stuff. But what I'd like him to do is at least have a chat with Kane. And just say, I'd like you to stay, but and this is what we'll do. But whether he gets that opportunity, I don't know. I would hope he would, and I'd hope, because I get the impression that Kane would Kane and him would get on. I think they come from sort of similar grounded stock, and I'm not saying that he would sign a new contract. But I think he might, give it a go for the year. But we'll see. I mean, could we take, if Madrid get desperate or suddenly find 120 million down the back of Perez's sofa, then it could all change. But we'll see.
Yeah, and the only way that we I think Kane forces his way out is if he digs his heels in and says he wants to go. And even then, we don't have to let him go because he's still got 1 year, as you rightly said. Daniel Levy would probably want to hold out for 100 million, 120 million, whatever that figure is. That figure is down to Real Madrid to pay. If it was me in Real Madrid's shoes, I wouldn't pay it. Then I had some thoughts the other day, just a bit of an epiphany. And I'm thinking of Kane in this situation. Kane wants to win trophies. Every footballer should want to win trophies. But Kane also wants to break records. What if, and listen to this scenario, Sean, what if Kane stays for this season, yeah? Gets 27 goals, 30 goals. He's about, 17 goals away from the record because he's 47 away from it at the moment. He gets 30 goals next season under Ange Ball. He goes to Real Madrid for 2 seasons. He'll be 33. Romantically comes back to Spurs for 2-year contract and knocks in 17 goals. He does everything. He'll win, and he'll come back and break the record and be at Spurs. What do you think of that? That flashed through my head the other day, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I stopped believing in the tooth fairy at the age of 12. Yeah, and Santa Claus is not real either. Yeah, I mean, we can all speculate. We can all speculate. I mean, it's this Premier League record is. For us, long in the tooth, bringing the teeth analogies back, if you want to talk about top division, Jimmy Greaves scored 357 goals in the top division. It wasn't called the Premier League. So Shearer's record is just a post 1992 record. I mean, they'll keep. In the end, I think Kane wants trophies. He wants to win medals. I don't think we will get. I think we might get a season out of him at the best. Your story's lovely, Sam. I'd like to believe in it, but I feel it's written by Hans Christian Andersen.
It was literally a vision that just pops in. I'm thinking it from his perspective now. There's a lot of things that would probably people say if Real Madrid come calling, you go. Doesn't matter what you are, who you are as a player. If they come calling, you go. But I don't know necessarily if Kane is going to push to go to Real Madrid. The reason being, at this stage of his career, he's going to be 30 this year. The way that the Premier League, the way that professionals are, he's got, in my opinion, 4 good years at the top. Injury-free, he could still be banging in 20-plus goals a season for the next 4 years. Once you start getting to 35, injuries may be kicking a bit more. You're definitely on the downside, but you could still be a Benzema. You could still be a Lewandowski, but they're very obviously top echelon, which I put Kane in. But is his injuries going to hold up? So from his perspective, is it trophies or is it records? Is it Spurs or is it the romantic thing about him and Spurs is, yeah, he does love the club, but he's a professional footballer and wants to win medals as well. So he's torn. But I think the family thing's a massive thing for him. Do you think if Real Madrid do actually say in some backwater channels via his agent, they said, yeah, we do want you, that he's going to kick up a fuss to get himself out of the club this season? Or would he just say, listen, I'm going to stay for 1 more year. You can get me on a free next year. That's taking a risk from his perspective, because I keep saying Mbappe's knocking about in all this equation for Real Madrid. I'm thinking, well, if they get Mbappe, why would you get Kane as well? I don't know.
Well, of course, there's another complicating factor as well, and it's even more recent than Mbappe's situation next summer. They've just spunked 100 million on Bellingham. Mm-hmm. You know, where people will be asking, the nearly bankrupt Real Madrid, who are redeveloping their stadium at this moment, where the hell are you finding 120 million? If that's the figure that Levy has set, in terms of pounds, that is. And on another thing as well, I think that the Kane injury thing is becoming a bit of a myth. I think he's actually got a specialist in. I read I saw a story during the season that he'd got someone from Spain to have a look at his issues around his ankles. And I don't think, he didn't miss many games. The only games he missed for Spurs, was when he wasn't picked, like at Sheffield United away. Say no more. He was an ever-present most of the season. That's why he got 30 goals. I think the days of serious injury are in the past now. I don't think he gets as many injuries as he used to, and I think that's because he's looked after himself, and he's as I say, he's employed this specialist from Spain to look after him. So just look at his appearances records over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I definitely agree that. But with age, you don't necessarily get fitter in terms of the injury side of things. You have to change your game. You'll have to adapt his game. His game's not explosive in that sense anyway. It's not like he relies on pace like a Son kind of does. So he can be very clever in the way he plays. He's almost developed his game now anyways. We've seen from a traditional number 9 into this hybrid number 9, number 10. And he's even played bloody 8 for us last season, the way I see him defending on the back, on the bloody box. Hopefully that's sort of football where we see Harry Kane defending on the box, the edge of the box in normal play, unless we're under real, that shouldn't be. Ange ball, and let's get back to Ange about this sort of thing. Postecoglou, I've seen a couple of things in terms of his training. His training is very much, right, we are high energy, but it's all about the spaces. It's all about ball possession, ball rotation, ball movement, player movement, attacking football. Not playing it around for playing around's sake. They do, and I've watched a couple of the Celtic games. They do keep possession, and they do obviously have to play it back. But it's not with regard to we're just going to play it back. We're going to recycle it. It's right. We play it into that player let's see, the number 6 has picked it up in their 4-1-2-3 system. Right, he immediately looks forward to one of the 8s, the 10s, sorry, the 8s or the 9s, or even the wide players. If he can't find that pass, which is really good coaching, keep possession. That's ultimately what you're taught. If you could play a forward pass that can get somebody in to score a goal, that's what you do. The next thing is, blah, you kind of go back, but maintain possession. The Celtic team had upwards of 70-80% possession. You'll know more than me from Scottish football. Not a lot of teams got the ball off them, and when they did, they were smothered because they covered all the half spaces. Players should revel in the fact that attacking football, if a manager gives you the license to just attack and almost takes the responsibility for the defensive side of things, if they score 3, don't worry about it, lads. It's fine. It's us as fans that kind of get the, but if a manager's told, because I've done this in coaching, don't worry about the score, lads. Just do this. And they do that, and you see what they're doing, and it develops, you're happy. It's everybody else around that makes the noise. But as long as that is maintained and they don't get the noise from the outside, and he's a strong man, they're going to need to be strong players as well. Have we got strong players, Sean? Have we got enough strong players at the moment?
Well, I think we do have strong players, but we probably don't have a surplus of them. That's true. But also, the other thing in Postecoglou's favour is that he develops players. He takes players and makes them into better players. I mean, you wouldn't believe the change in Cameron Carter-Vickers from when he was at Tottenham up here at Celtic. You know, he's the defender of the year here for the last 2 seasons, and the Celtic fans absolutely worship him. You know, and you know, he's not suddenly developed pace. He's not, but he's just been made to feel, you know, you're important to me, and this is what I want you to do. And honestly, he's covered a fair amount of ground, because, you know, that's what the centre backs have to do under Postecoglou's system. And he doesn't appear rushed. He plays the ball out well, and he's not he's part of a team which hasn't conceded very many goals while racking up a load. So
100%.
You know, I mean, if you can develop someone like Cameron Carter-Vickers, I'm not saying that he's going to bring him back to Tottenham. He's not a Premiership level, but he's made him a better player, and I can vouch for that from seeing it, you know, live and on TV up here.
So I look at the players that we've got and who can be. I think every player can be improved. That's a silly statement to say that, and that players can't be. Of course, every player can be improved. It does depend on what you need to improve on and how you develop your game. So we've got a whole host of players that can improve based on his coaching. I just think some of the players, and we'll do another show when we go through, and we'll put the whole squad up and put on the left side, keep, sell, who we might think. Because I think there's a lot of players in the squad currently that we might think need to go, that he might be thinking, hold on a minute, I can do something with them. I can make them better. And you know what? When we all ridiculed Joe Hart because he couldn't play football, he couldn't play out the back. He was terrible. Man City got rid of him for that reason. Every time the ball went back to him, it was like, oh my God, Joe Hart on the left side. Ooh, but even Joe Hart had confidence to play out from the back. He had confidence. Now, he's not the best keeper in the world at doing that, and we need to address that situation in the summertime. One key position. But I look at some of the other players and I think to myself, Emerson Royal might have a good chance in this team because he's exactly the sort of blueprint. I'm not saying he's the world's best right back, but what I am saying is he takes instructions well. He can be improved. He has improved. My only concern is because of that half spaces, is his crossing ability good enough? Porro's definitely a better crosser, but Porro I don't think, have that engine, what she's required necessarily at the moment to play well in that position. If I was going to put one of them two in now, it's a real problem. Porro for the ability to cross the ball, but certainly Emerson Royal for that engine that he's going to do exactly what the manager tells him. We are going to do it next week, but just pick out a few players who you think would thrive in this situation, but also a few players that you might have a few doubts about whether they would survive under Pochball. So Pochball. Can't do that. Cogball. Ange Ball.
Ange Ball, yeah. I think it's really difficult because I think a lot of players are going to have to transform. I mean, there's a player up here who plays for Celtic, Jota, who the Celtic fans have really taken to their hearts, and he's kind of to me he reminds me a bit of like Brian Hill. He's kind of slight, but what he's had to do is develop his upper body strength. You need to have upper body strength to play Ange ball because he won't tolerate. Like Richie was doing a lot last season, falling to the ground and applying, calling for a foul when it clearly wasn't there. He won't tolerate that. So some players are going to have to, learn quite quickly that lying on the floor and squealing is not going to get you any favours with him. It's very difficult, I think, because I don't know if what decisions are being made. Obviously, there must be. I mean, we've got upwards of 30 professionals now. Once all the loanees have returned, I do feel it's wishful thinking though to think that Tanguy Ndombele has a future. He just doesn't have a future. I mean, I've been watching lots of videos today of this young Korean kid called Lee Kang-in. He plays for Mallorca. Now, if we could get him, and I'm not saying we're even in the market. I think Atletico Madrid are way down the. I mean, he would be an absolute diamond because it's the two key positions because he plays a 4-3-3, but it's much more fluid than a 4-3-3. It's much more fluid. It finishes up like a 2-3.
You've got
5 or something, that sometimes it's mad.
With the number 9 and the 2 8s and the wide players, you've got 5 players in attacking positions at times, I see in Celtic.
Yeah, you do. You have these 2 number 8s attacking the half space, as they call it. Yeah? And I think, that they're going to be key positions. We might have 2 number 8s rather than a 10, So is that a role for Porro? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a role for an inverted fullback, if Royal wants to do that, I don't know. To be honest, I think the only thing I'm concerned about is that he does like the 2 wide attackers to literally be have chalk dust on their boots, And will Son do that, for example? I don't see it.
I don't even see Kulusevski doing it, to be honest.
And no, I don't see Kulu doing that. So maybe we'll finish up with Porro on the right, being the winger, and AN other on the left, or I don't know. It's a difficult one to predict, and really without any movement on the player front, it's a hard one to predict. But what players are going to have to do is they're not going to have to bleat for free kicks. So the likes of Richie will soon be told, "No, don't be rolling over, calling," because he did it a lot last season. It was quite embarrassing at times. I think I would like I'd like stronger players. I mean, there's been a debate on the WhatsApp about the merits of like Maddison. I'm sorry, Maddison's boat is gone as far as I'm concerned. So he's as soon as I heard that that incident where he reported sick for England, and then he went up the West End and was seen cavorting up there, I just thought, nah, if he wants to come to London, he's coming for the wrong reasons. He's not here to play ball.
Unless somebody gets in his ear, like Jack Grealish had that same sort of, possibly that sort of thing being carried around him. Jack, he's a playboy, he does this, and there was loads of videos of Jack. But ultimately, Pep Guardiola took £100 million chance on him, and he's got the best out of him, in my opinion. So it can be done if the right man
took a season. Took a season.
Took a season. But it should take a season at Manchester City, because if you just come into that team, apart from people like De Bruyne or people like Haaland, you've got to really be top player to just walk into that City team. So it should have taken him. But saying that, if I looked at both the systems that we looked, compare Ange's system with what we were seeing from the Turin Troll last year. 3-4-3 were played, 2 inverted wingers who were playing basically as 10s with a number 9 who kind of, hovered around in that space and done it. If you think about it, that front 3 is very similar in an attacking sense to having 2 8s and a number 9 in Ange's system. The difference being the defensive responsibilities. Now, obviously, if you're high up the pitch, you want to win the play up the pitch. But when you're playing as we did, dropping off, you still need your midfielders in. Because I looked at him and thought, you could play Son as an 8. You could play Kulusevski close to Kane. But then you have to then maintain the ball, as Ange has done, in our own half. You don't want the ball to be in their half. Because once you have to do defensive duties, is Kulusevski going to be a midfielder? Probably not. Is Son going to be a good midfielder? Son can't even tackle. So I wouldn't want him to be in that position defensively. So it's a real tough one. But he's also said, we don't go backwards. We don't play, you know what I mean? So I expect us to be on the front foot a lot of the time. So maybe we don't necessarily need a really combative type midfielder. Hence the reason why we may be being linked to people like Maddison. I don't know what you're thinking about that, but I just think with the players that we've got, I know we shouldn't be putting square pegs in round holes, but there is things in there that I can see. If you coach them well, we might be surprised. And I'm thinking those 2 8s, they don't necessarily have to be Basuma or Højbjerg or Basuma Bentancur or Skip and whatever. They could be someone like a Kulusevski, possibly even a Son, if they're coached right defensively. And square pegs, round holes, you might have to start shaving them off.
Well, if you're choosing someone as that, if you're choosing one of Kulusevski or Son to be an 8, I think I'd take Kulu every day. I think Kulu's got it in him to, he can absorb, he can take instruction. Whereas I think Son is he's just a striker, and I can't see him being a number 8 ever.
He can't defend. I've seen him.
He can't. I mean, the classic. You remember Pochettino picking him as a left wing back in that cup semi-final? Oh, for God's sake, man! I don't ever want to go back that way.
Because it's true. We've seen these players in defensive capability because Kulusevski's played as a wing back as well. He was all right. Didn't have to play for 2. But Son, yeah, definitely. He didn't look like he liked it at all. So defensively, I know he doesn't want to defend. But as well as that, he can't defend. He can't defend. That's a problem.
I can't really see Son as a number 8. No. So that might be we need a new player. I mean,
you don't think he could transform Bentancur if he comes back, or Skip or Højbjerg into that position? Basuma. I think Basuma's more. A lot of people are dissing Skip.
I think Skip takes instruction well. I think Højbjerg would be a good 8. That's where he plays his stuff for Denmark.
Yep.
Bentancur as an 8. Well, he has popped up and scored goals, which is a role that the 8s at Celtic have definitely done. They have to chip in. I mean, it helps that we've got, they've got a striker like Kyogo who's really, mobile and difficult to trap because he's nippy, But yeah, nice one, David. Yeah. Yeah, he's got his happy hat on tonight. Yeah,
he's definitely got his happy hat on because we didn't sign Brendan Rodgers, and I was all for the doom and gloom of Brendan. And I was trying to not be, but I am so glad we didn't. I'm so glad, and not because I've seen anything that we've done yet. We ain't done anything yet. We must remember that we've seen a lot of stuff. A lot of people, a lot of players, a lot of managers, a lot of coaches come to Spurs, and we've all had this hope. We should always have hope. It's our team. But when it gets to you and you see the same mistakes happening, the same errors being made, this time at least the board, Danny, whoever it is, have said, right, okay, we can't fast track this stuff now. We can't just get a £15 million manager in who don't really care about us and expect him to drag these players up to his level to win stuff. It ain't going to happen. But if we have someone that has ultimately got the the best interest of the players and the club at heart, and also wants to be better in himself, that's at least the right building blocks for success. The rest of it comes down to how much support he's going to get from above and below. And what I mean by that is, how are they going to support him in the transfer market, and how are these players going to support him when things don't go according to plan? Because that's when the real challenge is going to kick in. People are talking about in the media, Spurs, 10 points less than Antonio Conte. What's happening? The 9th place. They've scored 20-odd goals, but they've conceded 15. Do you know what I mean? Those sort of things is what's going to be the noise in this next season, Sean. And I don't know if all the players that are there now are going to be able to take that noise.
Well, I mean, it's clear some are going to go. Whether we'll get fees for them is another matter. I mean, the only one I think that we could definitely get a fee for is Lo Celso, who I don't think will be an Ange player, to be fair.
It could be.
No,
I don't want him. I don't want him. But
I think the word from within the club, from what I understand, is that he was not liked within the club, not just with other players, but with other members of staff. That there was something about Lo Celso, he rubbed people up the wrong way. And you know, if Villa want to take him, then let him go. You know. Yeah. So someone's put a challenge down to us, Rob, about our 11 for next season.
We'll do that quickly in a minute then. Let me just get to this, because this is actually a very good comment from Mojo. As always, Porro probably uses a winger as he swaps both wingers at 60 minutes every game with Doji now. That's a good point. So you can have wingers in the team and you can have these players. And the benefit of having Porro and possibly Doji as wingers is they do have and they do know defensive responsibility. Porro did get exposed in the back four and has been exposed in the back four when he played for Spain against Scotland. We saw that. And I've seen him play against other teams for Spain in the back four. And yeah, he does look a little bit exposed. But if you give him the role as a winger, that's different than a right back. That's different to a right back. He doesn't have as much defensive responsibilities. Yes, you want him to get back in and get your shape back. And that's what he'll be able to do. But his defensive duties are not the same as somebody who's playing right back. And that's where, if he could get Emerson playing in that hole and able to find passes, crosses, and have Porro as a winger, that's a bloody good start just on that right-hand side alone. Let's do it then, shall we? Oh, go on, have your word. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Dino Dinosaurs brought up an interesting point as well, and someone I let go out my head. Jed Spence would improve, would be good under Ange Postecoglou. Now you got me doing it now. I think Jed Spence, you know, and what he will try and do is he'll try and have 2 players for each position, you know, but no more, you know. So there won't be any, you know, that if you're not in that 2, you won't get chosen. You know what I mean? And that's why I think, you know, there's a big cull coming. I mean, and all the word, you know, all the word from the aggregators and the people in the know seems to be that, you know, there is going to be a big cull. So it'll be interesting when they get back and they're told, you know, you're if I call your name, you're staying. If I don't call your name, go and speak to your agent. You know what I mean?
The Jed Spence thing's interesting because Jed Spence is a player that likes to have those 1v1s. I don't think he'd be a player that would actually mind being told, listen, get bloody chalk on your boots, as they said in the old days, and just attack your fullback, attack your player. I think, again, that's what he wants to do. He's a young player that wants to attack and be in the attacking area. So he, in a team that wants to attack, is going to thrive. You can't buy a Jed Spence and play him with Antonio Conte in a defensive system and then expect him to play well. It's not going to happen. In fact, he didn't even get a chance with Conte. So it was just, no, he's not my player. Is this going to be a problem, Sean? We clearly know that over the last few managers, that being Jose Mourinho, that being the bearded one, that being the Turin troll, they didn't get the players necessarily that they wanted. Certain players were given to them. Certain players were bought for them as club signings. Are you thinking that this is going to continue? Or Has that all been ripped up now with this appointment? And he's going to be like, not going to say, Ange, who's you want? We're going to get anybody you want, but he's going to have more of an input.
What I think is in his favour is that he knows markets that Conte has never even heard of, and I think he might ask for players that even Levy couldn't really turn down. You know what I mean? Players in the price bracket. I think we need to it's a reality check. We know progress for us next year is getting into Europe, just getting into Europa League or even the conference. Dare I say it? We've fallen a long way. And
should we just ask the question? Is this the real expressions or is this a fake?
There is no fake expressions. He's my man.
It's the real one. We like you.
Love him. I love him. But anyway, yeah. I think he's much more flexible. He would have he might say, I need this player in this position, but I know about this player from Japan, or I know about this player in Korea. He will be. I think he can defend. He'll stand up for himself. This is a 20-year project. He's been I read just now that his agent has been trying to get him into the Premier League for as long as that. And his agent is the founder of Base, which is the transfer agency or the agency that Tottenham do a lot of business with. So, yeah, stars could align. The only factor that could ruin it is the chief executive who likes to, muck about with us.
Right. So, I think we both agree this is the right appointment for Tottenham Hotspur. I said a long time ago I wanted somebody who's basically going to take this as a project, someone who's almost going to use us as a stepping stone to bigger things, if that's what the case was. I didn't want to see another grandioso manager come in thinking that we owe them something, the players. What am I doing here? What am I doing here? Sort of manager. All right, if you're going to pay me that much, I guess I'll come here. That's the sort of manager we've had in Jose and Conte. Jose wasn't so loud enough in terms of burning bridges down, but Conte did. We have to backhandedly thank Conte for that, because I don't think we'd have had this appointment had he not. Because I think everybody's just seen it's so bad. We were so bad. We just couldn't go for another. Well, I was thinking we were going to get a Brendan Rodgers or a Graham Potter in, but we didn't. We didn't. You've got to now support this guy, and not, as I keep saying, not with everything he wants, but don't do. Oh yeah, we'll do that for you, and then beyond. No, we've got him in now. Oh, don't do that, because we will soon see. He will say that. That he'll be articulate in what he says, but he will say, I need this, I need that. What I do like about him as well, Sean, he takes responsibility. When he lost there was a game he lost to Rangers. I think it was 3-0 they lost to Rangers. And I saw his post-match interview after that, because that's on YouTube. And he was like, yeah, that was only one of 3 games they lost, or whatever it was they lost last week. He was distraught. But his body language was held together. But you could see in his face, that's not going to happen again. It's not going to happen. And that's all I can see going through his eyes. That's the sort of manager I want. Not like when we saw TT. Oh, it's not me, it's them lot. It's them lot. They're shit. He takes responsibility. That's all I expect from my manager. Take responsibility for good. Take responsibility for bad.
Yeah, and he's the one mantra he said was that we will do as I ask, and if you make mistakes, I'll back you. And I tell you what, if I was a player, I'd like to feel that my manager's got my back. How many players went out under Conte thinking, fuck, if I fuck up here, I'm going to get pulled up in, my name's going to be broadcast across the BBC Match the Day screens that night, and it will make a major difference. But don't think that he won't call players out. I think one of the most telling video clips I saw with him was when he was an Australian manager, and he's got the players lined up, and he's got the video, and he's going, they don't fucking score there. There's 1, 2, and he's slapping the screen, saying, he's saying, 1, 2, 3, someone's got to fucking take, and he, and then he just says, so we go out there, we score, and we keep going. We don't stop. You stop at 95 minutes. Yeah. And if they want to stop, let them stop. We take advantage. The other thing he'll do is he'll get the ball boys like he did at Celtic Park. They will be fit as butcher's dogs, I tell you, because they'll be throwing the ball in to get to, I mean, if you watch this semi-final of the Scottish Cup, it was Celtic Rangers in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup this year. Rangers stopped for a free kick. Celtic played on, and the ball came over, and Jota scored the winner, and it was 1-0. That's the sort of you've got to be tuned in. We don't stop. You stop at half time. You stop at full time. If the opponents stop, then we take fucking full advantage of it. And that'll be what it'll be like. 1 or 2 touches as well. 1 or 2 touches. None of this, dawdling on the ball. 1 or 2 touches.
It's music to my ears. When you hear that sort of, because when you, as a manager, that's the word. You manage. You manage. You know what I mean? It's a collective. Yes, when it's the team, you put the team together, the players go out and they have to perform. But you've done your job all week, and you've done your job just before they go out on the pitch. Everything they do in that 90 minutes, you can affect it by your substitutions, and you can possibly affect it by making some tweaks tactically. But ultimately, you can't affect their attitude. You can't affect their mentality once they've crossed that line. So that all has to be done early doors as part of your training, as part of your build up to the game. I look at some of the players, and that's when we can have a little bit of a think now. I don't know at the moment. Well, just let me just talk about this. No, Jews, I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is that it's going to be entertaining football, and football that we're going to want to see. And we are, as fans, going to love watching Tottenham this season. That's what I will say. Whether we win a league, I don't think I'll be saying that. But we will like watching. I didn't like watching Spurs last season.
There is the voice of a man who got badly burned this season.
Oh, it cost me a few £100 as well, Sean. Don't you worry about that. It cost me a few £100 too. So I will love the plain speaking, down to earth talk. Angel speak. It's an Aussie thing, yeah, and that's the thing. And I also think they've got to give him. This is the other thing. I think youngsters will get an opportunity, which is good. The youngsters will get an opportunity, whether that's pre-season. Some of them might even get into the first team look, but he will give them youngsters opportunities. He will give players opportunities. We're not going to see the likes of just players playing because they're going to play, because this is what Conte did. You can't play that guy again. Well, I am, because I don't care. You can't play him again. You can't play him on the left. Sanchez can't play, but he kept on doing it. I'm hoping that we don't see that sort of, well, we will see a blind kind of way of doing things, but not so close-minded that you make the same mistakes all the time.
No, he'll find the players to play the system that the football he wants, and his mentor is his late father. He wants to play football that his late father would enjoy, and that to me sounds like, music to my ears, as you say.
Well, the football, I'm looking forward. Yeah, we have to get into our heads, and we have to do it now. And I'm going to do this as part of this broadcasting stream. Fans, Tottenham Hotspur fans, we are not going to win every game next season. I said it last season that we're going to win the league. We're not going to win the league this season. But what we are going to have is blocks in place, and hopefully over a period of time, we're going to see better and better football being played by players. And we should start by seeing better football than we saw last season. That without a doubt. Pre-season will be interesting. So let's try and do it. We've not made any signings, Sean. I'm going to do my 11 as I see it in a 4-3-3 and then a 4-1-2. A 4-1-2-3.
I'll just do a 4-3-3. That's what,
So at the moment, we ain't got a keeper, so I'm going to have to stick with Foster. And Foster can actually play with his feet a bit. Not the best, but he's certainly better than Lloris. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with the right back as being Emerson Royal. I've mentioned the reason being I think he's coachable and I think he can improve. just needs to improve on the crossing. The centre backs, this is the problem for me. We have to have Romero as our best centre back. I'm going to balance this up with Longley. I know we might not have him, but I don't know what's the situation with Longley in terms of this season, loan wise, etc., etc. But I'd have him as left centre back. Left back.
Well, we've got the guy coming back from Italy.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that he might want to go a bit further. I'm thinking that's my thinking at the moment. So
okay.
Hear me out. Perisic. I'm going to go with Perisic. The reason I'm going to go with Perisic, I know he's older, but I think he can play in them half spaces really well. He's got an attack mind as well, and I think he's better crossing the ball than Ben Davies. I think he's definitely better on the ball than, what's his name? Sessegnon, who I don't think has got any future at Spurs. Midfield. Bissouma, number 6, easy for me. The 2 in front then. Højbjerg, I'm going to put in as one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I'm going to put in, this might surprise a few people, I'm going to put Kulusevski in there. Kulusevski, he might even look a bit like him, not to say he's got a little bit of De Bruyne's about him in terms of that, maybe a bargain De Bruyne, an Aldi De Bruyne, as opposed to Marks and Spencer. So I think Kulusevski goes in there. Kane obviously up front. The wide players. Now, I've got no space in that at the moment for Son. Left side, I'm going to go with that Deji in terms of left side of an attacker. Right side, I'm going to go Porro as a right side and attacker. Possibly interchange that with someone like Spence on the left side. Possibly interchange that with someone like Son. But I don't, as you said, I don't see Son hugging the touchline. Is he going to play anywhere else? I don't know. Could he play number 9? Could he be the second striker in terms of having someone behind Kane? Is he going to adopt that role? It's all Ange's decision, but that's me with my 11. You go.
I'm assuming that Kane was still there.
Oh,
yeah?
I didn't even mention him because Kane's still there and he plays.
Okay, so based on players that we've currently got, right. Okay, so I like you. I mean, I'm hoping that we get Raya, to be honest, but yeah, we'd have to go Forster in goal. Like you, I would go Royale at right back, Romero. I might.
It's tough, isn't it? That left centre back is tough.
I might try. This is a bit left field. Tanganga there, and then I would play Udoji at left wing, at left back.
Okay.
Then I'd have Bissouma, Højbjerg. I do like the idea of Kulusevski. Yeah, that's good. I think I'm steering towards another, an incoming, but yeah.
Can you see Skip playing there? I'm not putting Benzema in there because he's injured. I don't think I'm just going with the effect.
No, I think Skip is a replacement for Bissouma.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, at the base.
Agreed.
I tell you who I'd bring in. Alfie Devine.
Shout.
Alfie Devine is the number 8. Yeah, it's a number 8, which gives me 3 up front. Yeah, that would be Kulu, Kane, and
You can't see a space for Son in that system at this moment in time.
No, I can't see a space for Son in the system. And to be honest, based on last season, I don't, I mean, I know he scored 10 goals, but they were in like 4 games, I think. So it's left-sided. I don't know. I mean, Perisic, possibly Perisic. That's where he plays for Croatia.
Yeah, that's where you could be. Again, it's a position where he doesn't have to expend overly on his energy because he's literally hugging the touchline. But he does have to have that dynamic approach when he gets the ball, can go either way. Yes, a good shout. I might now change slightly. Yeah, going to the left back again. Yeah, I'll do the swap. So I'll put Perisic back and I'll put the Doji back as the left back. I like that. I do like that a lot. The more I think about that, I do. The only thing I see for Son, and this is not negativity, but we have to be real here. If Kane was to leave, I think we've got a ready-made replacement in Son playing that position. Because the way Kyogo plays for Celtic, my God, spot on for Son.
Yeah. Son and Kyogo are cut from the same cloth, I'd say. Yeah.
So I'd see a number 9 position for him because it's so much movement that's required, pace-wise. I think Son would actually revel, and that's what we were looking for before the City thing and the debacle with Kane going to City or wherever he was going to go. I had my mind on Son playing that number 9 role.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we're not in the market yet. I mean, as I say, I'm looking at players. There's a guy I like, Alex Scott, that plays at Bristol City. He's supposed to be a Spurs fan. As I say, that Lee Kang-in, who's playing at Mallorca, what a baller. As I said on Twitter today, he said he does everything Ndombele does, but doesn't play like he's got a respiratory disease. You know what I mean? I mean, it's he would get you out your seat. You know what I mean? Get you out your seat. We'd all be doing Zorba the Greek in the stands if we had someone like that. I tell you.
Korma. Of course, Son plays under Ange. He gets the best out of Asian players. That might be so. But in that system, the only place to put Son, in my opinion, is 3 positions. You can play him as a wide player, you can play him as a number 9, or you play him as an 8, stroke 10, whatever you want to call him. Somebody just behind the forward, but it's got to do a midfield job. I don't think he's the best midfielder in the world to play that. If we're under pressure, we have to do defending. Yes, if we're high up the pitch, it would work. Is Son now going to change his game back to just being a natural winger when he's been playing an inverted winger for the last however long? I'm not so sure he wants to do that. Can he play that number 9 role in a way that Ange would want to play? Yeah, I think he'd be brilliant. But Kane's there. It's simple. Kane plays if Kane's in the number 9 position. Son might have to be the second player behind him, but that's not a bad thing to have. Because Son, when he's played a sub this season, played probably his best games.
And we haven't discussed Richarlison.
Now, the Richarlison one, I like Richarlison to talk about because he has everything in terms of an attitude, which I think the manager would love. But he's not a nailed-on starter in that system, in that team, even without buying any players. So how far down the pecking order is he actually going to go? I don't think he's a wide player in terms of a hug the touchline wide player. He can play wide, but he's like a Rashford. He'd like to play wide to come in to score, not just stay on the width to create more so for the others. We might have a 60 million duffer here. Not to say he can't make it, but he's not going to get. I don't see him getting any more time than he got last season. Is Richarlison going to stay at Spurs for another season under a new manager playing a bit part? Don't know.
Right. I mean, that's what pre-season's all about, isn't it? It's about convincing the new manager. And I'm sure he'll get his chance. But yeah, it's an interest. There's a few dilemmas. I mean, any players coming back that might get back into the team? My boy Harry Winks. No, I don't think so. But in Reguilon, don't know. Reguilon, he's had an injury-free. He's had a very injury-ravaged season.
And to be fair to Reguilon, that crossing ability, he can cross the ball. He's decent. I think attacking wise, he's good as well. I don't know what he was like. I
don't know. It depends what sort of player he is when he comes back. I
don't know what he was like in the club. Was he in there because they got rid of him pretty quickly? They got him off on loan pretty quickly, and that always tells me a bit of a story. He just kind of disappeared out of the scene and gone. That was it. At least with Brian Hill.
Yeah, but remember, Parati's disposals were not the best, were they? I mean, they got rid of so many players that they'd forgotten that they'd put 8 players out on international loan and then they had to cancel Doherty's contract. You know what I mean?
Light bulb moment, player that we hadn't talked about. Not Lo Celso, fuck him. Brian Hill. Now, Brian Hill's an interesting one because I think he could play again as an 8, not defensively strong, but he's got that attacking threat. But again, I think he's a wide player. He's not opposed to just hanging on the touchline. And the reason I say that is because he doesn't have to get involved in so much physicality. When you're playing a little bit more in field, you have to deal with the centre-backs as well as the full-backs if you're playing as an inverted forward, which we've seen Kulusevski and Son do, and ask him to play there. He weren't cut out for it. But as a winger, I don't know, Sean.
No, Ange won't tolerate. He won't tolerate players being brushed off the ball as often as Brian is. And you know,
pre-season, pre-season, might get him bulked up.
I don't know. He'd have to just live on protein shakes for the rest of his life. I think. No, it's. I really can't see it. I mean, you know, I mean. If we were retaining interest in him, and I think we've got him for a few years yet, his contract, I would be bringing him back and then loaning him to a team in the lower Premiership. You know, a team in the Premiership, maybe one of the newly promoted teams, harden him up a bit. You know, send him to Luton.
We will talk about other players and incomings next week or whenever it was. We'll talk about it because the rumor of Harry Maguire's getting stronger.
Is it?
There's a lot of people saying no way, but I'm seeing a few things like, you know, Harry Kane, and again, it's only Twitter rumors, and we shouldn't take that, but Harry Kane would be happy. He's England colleague. He plays better for England. Maybe Ange will get
the families are really tight. The Maguires and the Kanes are really tight.
They are.
know, they're very tight. So, yeah, there's another player.
Dino's got it. I forgot about him as well. Look how many
do you know
players.
Do you know what? Bring out Tanganga from my 11 and I'll put Roden there.
100%.
I think Ange could do a job on Roden.
Just like he did with Cameron Carter-Vickers, a similar type of...
But Roden is at a higher level than Cameron Carter-Vickers.
But what I'm saying is he coached Cameron Carter-Vickers to a level I didn't think he could get to. And Roden, I don't think he was given enough opportunity because he did make mistakes. And the managers that were in charge at the time didn't want mistakes happening. So every time he did it, was like, oh, I'll get him out of the team.
Yeah, but when he got that run under Jose, he was our best defender.
I know.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, that is a good shout. Actually,
that's a bloody good shout.
Yeah,
Romero and Roden. Yeah, I can actually, and I think they could complement each other. The only thing I would say is there's is Roden got enough pace? Because when you look at it, you want in a really good back two, it's an aggressor and someone that can cover for the aggressor. So when you look at the back twos of like Vidic and Ferdinand, Vidic's the aggressor, Ferdinand had the ability to cover ball playing, but had pace. When pace started to leave Ferdinand, that's when them two, they couldn't really play as well. But if you got that tandem, it can work in a back four. I don't know where Dyer is. We'll talk about that next week because I don't know where Dyer even fits into this whole grand scheme of things. Because I don't want to see him playing on the left-hand side. He's not playing on the right.
He's a broken man, I think, Dyer, and it might be best for him to go. But
he's got to go. He's got to go. We're doing this for an hour, 4 minutes, mate. Wow, this has been good. So
yeah, my fish and chips have gone cold.
Yeah, I know. Mine's on the way. So Dino, Cormers, thank you. Kevin Murray, Eddie Ryan, Jews Nuts as always. We've got some new people in here. I can't pronounce this.
Adi Wijaya.
There we go. Adi Wijaya. Eddie Ryan is in the house as well. As always, David Clark, Rob Solly.
We had YouTube royalty as well.
And we had YouTube royalty in Expressions Oozing. I hope it was the real Expressions. Come back again if it was. Definitely we'll have you back on there, even if it's just one little segment of a smiley face emoji. Let's just put it up to show the people that we did in case it was the real one. We don't know. I'm going to find it. This is sad, isn't it? But I'm going to find it. Is it here? Here we go. We don't know, though. Sean, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. We'll do another one. We'll ask what you're going to do about the transfer window stuff because I'm sure we're going to have a whole host of rumours going for us this season. New manager and that. And it's always exciting to have the transfer rumours. knowing that we're going to have transfers. So yeah.
Well, a keeper is definitely on his way.
Definitely. David Raya looks interesting to me. Definitely interesting. He has the pace and he's good in the tackle.
Do you know what? If you follow Nathan Clark from the Extra Inch, but he's really good on data, and he's done a big breakdown of goalkeepers here today. And what amazed me was how highly ranked Paul Lopez, who used to be at Tottenham, and Paolo Gazzaniga are in his data. Unbelievable. You know, it's like, did we miss a trick there? But you know, that.
Oh, we've missed a few tricks in terms of players.
Yeah.
We've missed a few tricks, mate. And I'm just hoping we get them tricks right. But like I said, there's players like Ndombele, there's Lo Celso, there's Winks, there's players who I don't know what's going to happen in pre-season with them, but we'll find out soon enough.
Oh,
there's another good shout. Another good shout.
Remains going. He's leaving.
Yeah, he is.
I see today there's a Belgian team and there's a Dutch team.
Because he wouldn't sign a new contract, would he?
No,
that was the point. Yeah, I thought he was going to stay. But anyway, do what you need to do, people. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Change is coming. We're going to be doing some... It's not really going to be changed for you, but you just got to look out for new things and where our new channel will live. But it will be exactly the same in terms of the fantastic content that you always get and the guests. So, Sean, yeah, we haven't seen one of your walks down the lanes recently because I guess you didn't want to walk down the lane because of what we saw at the lane.
Yeah, the Shirin troll just took my soul away. It's like one of those Dementors in Harry Potter. Oh God,
it was horrible.
Obviously, I watched the Europa League to see Mourinho stuff it up in the, let's put to bed that idea that he would have won the League Cup against Man City. I'm gutted for Roma because I love Roma, but unfortunately, it looks like Mourinho's around for the not too distant. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see
indeed. I think that's it. You'll see us again, people, probably next week. Look out. I'm not sure who's going to be doing anything because Darry said he's making another appearance, but he always says that. 3K. So me and Sean have done this. It was good. Loved it. We will be back, people. I'm just trying to find the outro. It's here. So look out for something from PRTv as always.
Smile, Spurs fans. There is a new man in control, and he's got answers.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yes.
It's just different.